It was a sunny Tuesday, the kind of day that just begs for some time in the kitchen. The light was streaming in through the window, illuminating the countertop, creating the perfect atmosphere for baking something delicious. I grabbed my trusty wicker basket, the one I've had for years, and headed out the door. It was time to gather the ingredients for my baking project. First on the list, flour, the foundation of any good baked treat, and sugar, for that touch of sweetness we all crave. Then, creamy butter, essential for richness and flavor, and of course a punnet of fresh, juicy strawberries to add a burst of summer. At the till, as the cashier scanned each item, the total was noticeably higher than it had been just last week. I did a double take, wondering if I'd accidentally grabbed something extra. Butter, sugar, even those beautiful strawberries, all pricier than I remembered. Each item seemed to have jumped up a notch. The cashier, seeing my surprise, just nodded knowingly. "Everything's going up," she said with a sigh as she handed me my receipt. "It's odd, isn't it? A little unsettling even. You buy essentially the same things week after week, the staples you rely on, but the bill keeps creeping up, slowly but surely eroding your budget. And it's not just baking ingredients. Fuel for your car, the clothes you need, even the electricity that powers your home all cost more than they used to. Everyone feels it, from students carefully budgeting their ramen to grandparents on fixed incomes. It affects us all. This steady, persistent rise in prices across the board is what we call inflation. It's not some mysterious, invisible force, some abstract concept that economists debate in ivory towers, but a real phenomenon that happens within our economy, a process, like a cake rising in the oven, slowly expanding and changing. Understanding inflation, grasping its causes and effects, is the first crucial step to not letting it spoil the bake, to protecting your financial well-being. Just as a good baker knows their ingredients intimately, understanding their properties and how they interact, we need to know what's making our money stretch less and less each day, what's causing our purchasing power to shrink. So let's dig into the underlying reasons why prices keep rising and what we can potentially do about it. After all, a perfect cake, one that rises beautifully and tastes divine, always starts with knowing your recipe inside and out. Let's look at the recipe for rising prices together and see if we can decipher the ingredients and the method. Ready to unravel the mystery of inflation? Let's get started on this economic bake-off. So, what exactly is this thing called inflation that everyone keeps talking about? It sounds complicated, but the basic idea is actually quite simple. Simply put, inflation is that persistent increase in the general price level of goods and services in an economy over a period of time. This means prices for everyday items rise, and your money buys less than it used to. Imagine last year a 10-pound note bought you flour, butter, and eggs. This year, sadly, that same 10-pound note only covers the flour and butter. You might have to leave those eggs behind. Your money hasn't physically changed, you still have the same 10-pound note, but its purchasing power, its real value, has shrunk significantly. Inflation is like a cake that goes stale. Over time, it's just not as good as it was. Its value diminishes, and you're left with something less satisfying. It's not just one or two things getting expensive, like a fancy gadget or a luxury item. It's almost everything you need for daily life, from groceries to gas and even rent. Economists track inflation very carefully by checking the cost of a typical shopping basket filled with common consumer goods and services over time. When the overall price of that basket consistently goes up, that's a clear sign of inflation at work. A little bit of inflation is actually considered normal and even healthy for an economy. It gently encourages spending and investment as people anticipate prices rising in the future. But when prices start to rise too fast, spiraling out of control, and wages for the average worker simply can't keep up with the increasing cost of living, everyone from families to businesses really feels the financial squeeze and struggles to make ends meet. That's when your 10-pound note just isn't the baker's friend it used to be, and you have to make some tough choices about what you can afford. What exactly causes inflation? It's a question that economists and everyday people alike are constantly trying to answer. Think of it as a recipe, a complex culinary creation. But instead of flour and sugar, we have three main ingredients that, when combined, can lead to rising prices. First, demand pull inflation. This happens when there's a surge in consumer desire. It's when lots of people want something, clamoring to get their hands on it, but there's simply not enough to go around, creating a shortage. As a result of this high demand and low supply, prices rise. Second, we have cost-push inflation. This occurs when it costs more to make things, when the expenses associated with production increase. This could be due to higher costs for raw materials, like higher flour or energy prices, essential for production. To cover these increased costs and maintain profitability, businesses charge more for their goods and services. Third, we have the issue of too much money circulating in the economy. This happens if there's more money floating around, but the same amount of goods and services available for purchase. With more money chasing the same limited supply, prices inevitably go up. These ingredients often mix together, creating a complex economic situation. This interplay of factors is what makes inflation so tricky to manage and predict. Sometimes, governments add more money to help people through difficult times, boosting demand. At other times, global events disrupt supply chains, making supplies costlier and contributing to cost-push inflation. It's a complex mix of economic forces, not a simple bake with easily controlled variables. Balancing these factors, understanding their interactions, is key to keeping prices steady and maintaining a healthy economy. So, let's delve deeper and see how this intricate dance of economic forces ultimately affects our daily lives and the prices we pay for everyday goods. Inflation isn't just numbers, it's felt in every home. Groceries, clothes, even fixing the garden gate all cost more. Families have to make tough choices, stretching every penny. Savings lose value if interest rates don't keep up with inflation. Planning becomes harder when prices keep changing. Businesses struggle to predict costs, making them cautious about hiring or investing. Borrowing is affected too. Loans may get pricier as banks raise interest rates. For some, fixed-rate loans become easier to pay back, but new loans cost more. Inflation turns simple budgeting into a puzzle for everyone. So how do we keep things under control? Inflation can be managed just like a tricky dough. Central banks act as head bakers, adjusting interest rates to keep inflation steady. Raising rates makes borrowing costlier, cooling demand and slowing price rises. Governments can help by spending wisely and improving how things are made. Better roads or technology can lower costs and ease inflation. It's all about balance, steady hands, and smart choices. Understanding inflation helps us make better decisions with our money. The economy, like baking, has ups and downs, but with care, we can aim for a perfect rise. With the right recipe, we can all bake up a brighter future.